Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to have you here as we explore a fascinating and important topic, navigating narcissistic control, specifically when their power slips. The title of today's talk is Navigating Narcissistic Control, When Their Power Slips. In this session, we'll look at how narcissists rely on control, what happens when that control begins to weaken, and how both parties can understand and navigate these complex dynamics. So, let's dive in and uncover the patterns and strategies behind these behaviors. When narcissists feel like they're losing control over you, their tactics tend to shift. When they have control, their attacks are mostly internal. They target your self-worth, trying to make you doubt yourself, distort your perception of reality, and ultimately make you question what's real. This internal manipulation can be very subtle but deeply damaging. But when they start to lose that control, the game changes. That's when they switch to external weapons. They might use social pressure to isolate you or make you feel guilty. Threats become more prominent, or they might launch smear campaigns to damage your reputation. Sometimes, they push for forced encounters or confrontations to regain dominance. In this slide, I want to highlight 7 common behaviors that narcissists often display when they realize they're losing grip on you. These behaviors range from subtle to desperate, showing how their tactics evolve based on the situation. So, understanding this shift from internal to external tactics is crucial because it helps us recognize when these manipulative strategies are at play, and it underscores the importance of staying grounded and aware of their changing methods. Now, let's talk about the first sign of slipping control, which often comes disguised as an apology. But it's important to understand that it's not a genuine apology. Narcissists aren't truly remorseful or acknowledging their behavior. Instead, they give what we call a fauxpology, a fake apology that sounds apologetic but actually shifts responsibility away from them. For example, they might say, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I'm sorry you're hurt." Or the most common, simply, "I'm sorry," followed by repeating the same problematic behavior. The key point here is that these statements are not real apologies. They are manipulative tactics designed to make you feel better temporarily, but with the underlying goal of regaining control. What the narcissist is really saying is, "I'm sorry I got caught," or "I'm sorry I'm facing consequences." Their hope with these empty words is to soften you enough to let them back in, to restore their control over the situation or over you. So, recognizing these faux apologies is crucial in understanding how narcissists manipulate and maintain power. Let's talk about the hoover, which is a powerful manipulation tactic named after the vacuum cleaner. Its main goal is to suck you back into the toxic cycle. Narcissists can suddenly reappear with charm, affection, and promises that closely resemble the idealization phase of the relationship, when everything seemed perfect. But here's the key point to remember. When they start doing this, they often believe they are truly trying to reconcile. In reality, though, the hoover is rarely about genuine reconciliation. Instead, it's often about regaining enough control so they can push you away on their terms later. This cycle is cruel because it reaffirms their dominance over you. And it's a form of punishment. If you dare to leave, they pull you back in, only to discard you again when it suits them. Recognizing this pattern is crucial to understanding their manipulative tactics and protecting yourself from falling into their trap. Sometimes, when emotional appeals don't work, narcissists will try a different tactic. They might stage what looks like an accidental encounter. You might find them showing up at your gym, your church, or even on your usual walking route, places they know you frequent and where they can catch you off guard. Even if you've made the decision to move on and leave things behind, their sudden appearance can trigger a strong emotional reaction in you. That's exactly what they want. For a narcissist, this moment is a victory because your reaction, whether it's anger, fear, or sadness, proves they still have a hold on your mind. It's important to understand that this isn't about reconciliation or genuine connection. It's about asserting power. They want to see that they can still influence you, that they can still evoke a response. Recognizing this pattern helps us understand their motives and maintain our emotional boundaries. Now let's talk about emotional manipulation and blackmail. When charm no longer works, the narcissist often switches gears and plays the victim. They'll portray themselves as being deeply wounded by your absence, saying things like, "I can't eat or sleep without you," or "I don't know what I did to deserve this." The main goal here is to activate your empathy. They want you to feel guilty or responsible for their pain. If you start questioning whether you've been too harsh or even wonder if you might be the narcissist, that's exactly what they want. Their tactic is working. This kind of emotional blackmail preys on your compassion, trying to lure you back into the relationship by making you believe that you can heal their pain. But here's the truth. Your empathy, which is normally a good thing, becomes the weapon used against you. It's a manipulation tactic designed to keep you emotionally entangled, even when you know it's unhealthy. Now, as their control starts to slip further, narcissists often escalate to a tactic called projection. What does that mean? Well, they might accuse you of the very behaviors they themselves are guilty of, things like gaslighting, manipulation, or even suggesting that you are the narcissist in the situation. It's a classic defense mechanism that shifts the focus away from their own faults. This tactic puts you on the defensive because suddenly you're having to defend yourself against false claims that they've fabricated. It's a way to divert the conversation, to steer it away from their own behavior and onto your supposed misdeeds. And the key here is that these false accusations are not just random, they're strategic. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind and lay the groundwork for what comes next, which is often a smear campaign. In essence, false accusations are destabilizing, yes, but they're also a calculated move. They force you to waste energy defending yourself against claims that are entirely fabricated. It's a manipulation tactic designed to wear you down and keep you off balance. Now, let's talk about the smear campaign. Once false accusations are planted, narcissists don't just leave them there. No, they actively spread these stories publicly. They often twist the facts, exaggerate events, and sometimes even sprinkle in a grain of truth to make their lies seem more believable. The main goal here is to discredit you, to make others doubt your perspective and question your integrity. This tactic is especially effective because, naturally, our instinct is to fight back, to clear our name and set the record straight. But here's the catch. That's exactly what the narcissist wants. When you defend yourself, you might appear guilty or overly defensive, which only feeds into their narrative. So, what's the healthiest response? It's to refuse to feed into the drama. Let their words and accusations collapse under their own weight. Sometimes, silence and composure are the most powerful tools you can have in these situations. Now, let's talk about threats and intimidation. When all else fails, narcissists often turn to threats as a way to maintain control. These threats can be vague or very specific, and they can be emotional or practical in nature. For example, they might threaten to expose secrets from your past, which can feel incredibly invasive and damaging. Sometimes, they might threaten to take custody of your children, even if they have no real interest in being a parent, just to scare you into submission. You might also hear vague warnings like, "I know something about you that could ruin you," which are meant to create fear without any clear action. The main goal of these threats is to destabilize you, to instill fear, and to make you feel powerless. Even if the threat isn't actually going to happen, the anxiety it produces can give the narcissist a temporary sense of control over you. Recognizing this pattern helps us understand how they manipulate and undermine our sense of security, which ties into the larger theme of navigating narcissistic behaviors. Final thoughts are always an important part of any presentation, and on this slide, we're emphasizing why this topic truly matters. Understanding these 7 tactics isn't about trying to outsmart a narcissist or beat them at their game. It's really about recognizing the signs of manipulation so you can protect yourself effectively. When you stop reacting emotionally to their provocations, their power over you begins to weaken. Narcissists thrive on emotional energy. They feed off your reactions. Without that energy, they tend to get bored and will often move on to find a new source of supply. If you find yourself dealing with a narcissist who's losing control, remember, those moments of desperation are actually a sign of your progress. It shows you're no longer feeding their need for validation or control. Your best defense in these situations is emotional detachment. That means not giving them the reactions they crave. Instead, turn that empathy inward. Focus on taking care of yourself, maintaining your emotional well-being. Ultimately, it's important to realize that narcissists often get exactly what they deserve, often not what they think they're entitled to. Your responsibility isn't to fix or change them. It's about freeing yourself from the cycle of manipulation and control. That's the real power you hold.